Hey guys, welcome back to the Telecom Talk Show. Today we have with us Mr. Vidhu Nautiyal. He's the co-founder and chief revenue officer at Cloud Connect Communications Private Limited. So Vidhu, great. We are glad to be having you here. And I would just like to start this conversation by asking you, what are sort of the changes that you have observed in the MVNO industry so far?
So if we talk about, first of all, thank you so much for calling me on this tech show. The second thing is that coming back to your question, so basically the changes what we have observed, and if I have to talk about changes specifically to Indian market, I think it's a great move by the government of India to introduce virtual network operators in India specifically, which was not there earlier. So it gives a lot of flexibility, and of course the reach it get, I mean, for a virtual network operator, the reach gets defined, and we get more space to work and more applications and more flexibility to the enterprises comes with it. So that's the change which we are really looking forward to. And I think the Western world has already adopted a lot of virtual network operators are there working from quite a long time, and now in India it's just picking up. I mean, the introduction of this, if I'm correct, the introduction of the license was around 2017. And now we are seeing that, I mean, of course, we are the first one to take that license and bring this application and specific application in India. So we are really looking forward that now enterprises understand that what digital transformation is and communication, digital communication is all about. And that's where we work on, and that's where the virtual network operators really would be playing around. I mean, that's the change which we have observed, and that's the trend which we are looking forward to as well.
Okay. So like Vidhu, what are, if you had to specify and break it down for the listeners of this video, so what are the upcoming trends do you believe that will come in the MVNO industry?
So, as I mentioned earlier, the trends and the conversations, or probably the trends which we are looking forward to is of course, the digitization of the entire communication process. And I am specifically talking about from a B2B standpoint and from an enterprise standpoint. There, I think a lot of enterprises, because of COVID-19 pandemic, have understood the importance of the digital communication and the communication as a service. So that's where I think a lot of virtual network operators would come into the play, and keeping this one part of the entire pie. But then, of course, there are other applications which we could probably look into it, like, for example, automating the airline communication. So in India, I think government of India has also introduced that. So that's how it is. So these are the niche segments which were there, and of course our operators are playing a lot of are doing a lot of hard work to put up the 5G networks and putting up the network infrastructure. And of course they would, I mean, we are like partners to them, right? So they have a certain criteria to reach with the networks, and of course taking that network ahead to the enterprises which are in smaller cities or in a bigger cities as well. So we are the players who can go ahead and increase their footprints and increase the footprints of communication in these kind of cities. So that's the trend what we are looking at, and we strongly believe that this is a right way to move forward as far as the trend goes and as far as the businesses goes.
Okay, so Vidhu, do you think small and medium-sized enterprises can leverage cloud telephony? And is it something sustainable for them over the long run?
That's a very good question, Tane. Small, and I think the biggest beneficiary of this whole entire chain is small and medium enterprises, because if you see in India, there is a concept which is very newly introduced, which is a disaster recovery. So prior to COVID-19 pandemic, I mean, this word disaster recovery was not that famous word, I would, if I have to put it that way. However, now this disaster recovery is a word, is an in word right now for all these enterprises, whether it's small, whether it's medium, whether it's large, right? So that's where we are coming in. So importance of a communication over the cloud is as important as anything, because for an enterprise, whether it's small or medium or a large, the communication channel has to be always open. You can't just shut down your shop, or you can't shut down your communication line just because the employees can't come to the office and get connected to your servers. I mean, that doesn't give a good impression to the customers, right? At the end of the day, for any enterprise, the most important part we feel is the communication. I mean, irrespective of the fact whether it's a small enterprise or a big enterprise, one needs a communication channel, whether it's internal or whether it's external. So that's something which is very important, and that's what we feel that cloud plays a major role to provide this kind of a solution to help small and medium enterprises to come on board and and make sure their communication channel is always up and running, irrespective of the fact whether the employee is physically present in the office or they are into their homes, whether it's I mean, in a metro or in a non-metro city, right? And of
Right.
course, if you see the adoption of the internet also is quite, yeah, I mean, India is one of the biggest adopters of internet. And there are people, because we are a young generation and young people, we understand playing with applications like it's a tip. I mean, it's a very simple thing for us, right? So we are a generation which understand how to use an application, and that's where we come into the picture. We have given a simple application for enterprises which they can actually just download on their phone, and their office communication suite is absolutely available on their smartphone or on laptop, whichever way they're accessing it, sitting anywhere. I mean, the flexibility, the mobility comes with it. So that's what I feel and we feel as an organization, that that's the most important thing for a small and medium enterprise, to make sure that their communication channel is always open, irrespective of the fact whatever is happening, uh, uh, like for example, whatever is happening in right now in pandemic and so on and so forth. So that's what we feel.
Right. So, Vidhu, like talking specifically about the telecom industry, how are 5G and AI, artificial intelligence, going to play a growth driving factor together? How are they going to help the industry?
So to touch base that, I'll break this question into two parts. You mentioned 5G and AI. So I'll first touch base the AI and then come back to the question of 5G. So AI, we feel that it is going to play a very major role, because we ourselves are developing AI intelligence into our artificial intelligence into our platform. So a small example of artificial intelligence is, like for example, today the applications around AI has gone up to a level where it can understand what is the mood of the customer, what are the words he has been using, what is the intonation of the voice they're using, right? So all these features we have already built in the platform, and so on and so forth. So artificial intelligence in coming years is a big thing, and it is going to play a very major role for enterprises, irrespective of their sizes. So just imagine if a small enterprise understands that why the customer is calling, or whether it's a irate customer and he has to be transferred to a supervisor or transferred to someone who can actually give him a solution then and there. I mean, that's the kind of I mean, that's the kind of application which a small enterprise would really like to have, right? So that's something which we feel that artificial intelligence is something which is going to play a big role. Now coming to the second part of the question, the 5G. I think the 5G is a fantastic thing, because it gives you the flexibility of the speed of the internet. And as you know that as things are changing, everything is going on IP and everything is going on internet. So the first and the foremost thing is the internet speed. The stability of an internet speed is very much required. And plus, in an enterprise where this communication is mission critical, I think the backbone of 5G would really help to make sure that all the mission critical applications are running up and running. Like for example, if there would be some application by an enterprise which they use to communicate, I mean, which they use to enter the data of their customers, that is running on a 5G, that would help. And of course, our application is 5G ready. So we are 5G ready. So as soon as the major rollout happens in India for 5G, our application and the services are already 5G enabled and 5G ready.
So, Vidhu, what are sort of the challenges that you have to face working in this industry, and what are sort of the challenges that you predict might arrive in the future that aren't here right now?
So, Tane, challenges very specifically, if I have to put forward, in initial days, the challenges, because we started our business is in 2020. That's where we did a commercial launch and we started us onboarding the customers. So at that point of time, and still the challenge is something, the awareness of this whole virtual network operator. I think that has to go a little bit high. It's not yet being commercialized, because we do see that customers are still fidgety about understanding that whether the VNO is legal or whether it's not legal. So that's where some of the challenges come from a regulatory standpoint. However, I think our government is doing a fantastic job to enable and educating people that virtual network operator is something which is legal, and they have allowed us to function in this area. I think they're doing a fantastic job. And however, I still feel that the challenge is there. The adoption of this whole service and whole understanding of the VNO is gonna remain, and it is a challenge. And in future, I think the awareness of the product and the awareness of the market about the internet telephony is something which is we are facing the challenge, and we might face the challenge on.
Okay, so thank you for your answers, Vidhu. I think that will be all from my side. Thank you for joining us today. And to everyone who's watching this video, if you're watching it on YouTube, thank you. Please click on the subscribe button. If you're hearing it on Spotify or any other podcast platform, please do follow our channel and share this link with your friends. So thank you.